Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Retro Recall the PS1 Chronicles, a show where we play and rank every PlayStation game ever created. My name is Jimmy, and as always, I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
So this game is definitely interesting, and I think we both have a lot to say. So let's just hop right into this game. Tale of the Sun was released on April 22nd, 1997. It was developed by Art Dink and published by Sony, which is insanity. As far as genre goes, I don't even know what to say. I mean, online everywhere, it says it's an action RPG, which is just insulting.
Yeah.
I wrote down here exploration survival game, which is the closest thing I could come up with. But just to start, like, why in the hell did you pick this game?
I think it's come like anytime there's a weird, like a super weird game that probably no one has ever heard of. It's like, oh, Mike probably picked that one. I like to mix it up a bit. This was actually the fourth option on my list of games to play this week. The first one, I'm like, oh, this is a little interesting and unique. But I'm like, it's not weird enough. And I just went down and this was the fourth one. Like, this is it. This is the one we need to play.
Do you remember any of the other ones you were going to pick or no?
Not title-wise, but one was like a platformer. We've done tons of those. Another one was a fighting game, I want to say, and we just got done doing one of those recently. So I wanted something completely outside of the genres we've typically done. And to say an exploration survival, even that I think is too far. I think if we just take off survival, it's just an exploration game, more or less.
Yeah, all right. But no, I mean, I'm glad you picked something weird. Like, we've been talking and we want to do this more. Like, just, we played too many good games, especially for Horror Month. So we really need to get back to the shit.
Yeah. Just things we've never would come across ever. Maybe weird or just an interesting concept. And the way we decided is because whenever I chose, what was it? B-movie? Invasion from Beyond. That was the same thing of, I saw the name, I saw screenshots, it was good to go. With this, same thing of like, I saw the name, and I pulled up, screenshots didn't tell me anything, so I pulled up a YouTube video of someone else playing it, and just watching 5 seconds, I'm like, oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I mean, you got me this time. Normally, like, you pick a weird game, I'm like, I've heard of this. Like, I would say most games we played, I've at least heard of in some way, because, like, you know, I've been obsessed with the PS1 since I was a kid. But with this and Invasion from Beyond, you got me. Like, I've never heard of this. You know, probably for the best.
Probably, yes. I would have been shocked if you've like, oh yeah, I know all about this game.
No. So, all right. So to start, I started this game and, you know, I looked at a little bit of footage, but I didn't want to like spoil anything. I didn't want to like know the secret to it. So for the first half an hour, I just tried to play and I got nowhere.
Define nowhere.
Okay. So here's what I'll explain. So after that, I looked up just specific, because I downloaded the manual as well, and that was not helpful.
Oh, you found the manual? I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I found it. I had to download JPEGs of each individual page.
Oh.
But that also didn't really help very much because it just kind of explains some of the systems and the controls, but doesn't tell you what you're supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
So I found a video of a guy playing it, and basically the goal of the game is you are supposed to kill animals, bring meat back to your camp. And by doing that, you're leveling up the culture of your people. So as you do that, you get more people in your camp, and that's more lives. And you can upgrade your weapons. That's how that happens. It happens automatically. You don't do anything. You honestly don't even know when it's going to happen. But the main goal is to find mammoths and kill them. And you have to get their tusks and use it to build a tower to the sun. A tale of the sun, if you will.
Yeah, that is the entire game. And I want to start too with, like, I apologized when we played D about the footage. I want to double down on that with this game and say I'm very sorry for the footage of what you're about to watch. If you're watching it, audio listeners, you probably have it easy this week.
Audio listeners are spared.
But yeah, that is the entire concept of the game. They don't explain anything. I was thinking about this today right before we started recording, and in a way, kind of this is I hate to bring this back. This is going back to early days, but Star Ocean. It just starts you in the middle and you don't know where you're supposed to go, which I love. But unlike Star Ocean, Star Ocean has story. So it at least tells you like, oh, this is where we're heading. This is what we're doing. This gives you zero. You don't know where you're supposed to go, what your end goal is. You have nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on what the game is after I figured out that stuff that I said. And we'll get into everything specifically. We'll go through everything. But I just want to say, I did my best to just try and find a mammoth, just so we had the footage of it. But I never found one.
I'm so glad you said that because, first off, how long did you play this for?
Around 2 hours, and that was a struggle.
Okay. So I hit the 2-hour mark and I'm like, I'm done. I can't play anymore. But same mentality as you. I want to find a mammoth and I want to show it for footage. And I spent another half hour running around the ice area trying to find a mammoth and just no luck. I couldn't find it anywhere.
By ice area, you mean like the top right with like the mountains, right?
Yeah, more so the most north you can go on the map. And it's like the snowy areas. And yeah, then there's the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my last footage from today, my last half an hour was doing exactly what you just said. I just was sprinting from end to end. Like I found a beach, I found a desert.
I found snow monkeys.
I didn't find that, but I found all kinds of different animals, but like I just could not find a mammoth.
Nope.
And honestly, my thought was like, even if I found it, I probably am not strong enough to kill it anyway.
No. Going off of that, one thing I tried to look up a walkthrough of like, oh, maybe this will be a little bit helpful of like what I'm supposed to be doing. That was nothing. It just gave you the bare bones of this is what the game is. And didn't tell me anything at all. One thing it did say though is if you find a mammoth, don't go after it until you have an upgraded weapon. Because if you don't, it's going to kill you in like 2 hits.
So I was able to get the club. That was the only weapon that I had.
The stick? Oh, yeah. The club thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many levels up did you go from there?
I want to say I was level 4 or 5 culture level.
Okay.
I got the final level today. I just don't remember exactly what number it was, but like I never, because I know you get a spear after the club from what I saw in YouTube videos.
Oh, okay. According to the walkthroughs, the axe is next.
So the spear must be the highest level you can get then.
Yeah. So there's only 3 weapons. Your club, which you upgrade 4 times. The axe, which you upgrade 2 times. And the spear, which upgrades 3 times.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I want to go into so many things at once. I'm getting like flustered. You know what I mean?
Let's start from the very, very beginning.
Okay. So first of all, movement is terrible.
Yes. Camera, terrible.
The way the camera moves as you move, like at first I was like, this is going to make me sick. It didn't, but I thought it might. Because like that combined with the low frame rate, it does not hold at all, especially when there's more than one animal on the screen.
Oh man, the sluggish trying to like, and if you're going up a hill with tons of animals and snow and nighttime effects, you're like a slug trying to move across the screen.
And what's up with the nighttime effects? The dozens of planets going by? I don't understand that one.
I think it's just a similar, like we would see stars. And so like on this planet, it sees all these different planets going by.
So this is not on Earth?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't think it matters, honestly.
I do like the aesthetic in a sense, like the nighttime with the planets going around. Like that's a cool thing to see. And even before getting into the game, like the artwork and whenever you're putting in your name, like that.
Nightmare Fuel.
Yeah, it's like Nightmare Fuel, but it's like it has its own little style to it. I'm like, this is neat. I kind of like this.
I really like the music too. I thought the music was good.
Way too good for this game. I feel I say that too much on this show.
Well, yeah, because on PS1 games, the music was always so good, but the game quality varied so much. Like, there's not that many songs in this game, and they randomly trigger when you get to like a specific part of the map.
Yeah.
But I would say all the songs I heard were good. Like, there were none that were bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. It also made me think like maybe I'm on the right path to somewhere. Like when the music would cue in, I'm like, ooh, am I going the right way? Am I doing something good?
That's not true though.
It's not. It's a lot like Minecraft too. For those who have ever played Minecraft or seen Minecraft, where you have different biomes. You have like the forest, you have the desert, you have snow.
Mountains, beach.
Mountains and beach. I never found the beach.
It was like the bottom right.
I never went down to the bottom right.
I found it today when I was finishing up exploring a little bit just to try and find something cool. But Getting back to the movement, I don't know what they're going for here because the walking is pretty much only for if you're trying to pick something up.
Yes.
Other than that, you have to run all the time. The jumping is also weird, but I did find it satisfying to jump when you're on an incline and you just go flying.
You just launch your guy across the map.
It's pretty much what I did most of the time.
Yeah. It was either, I'll get into that later. Yeah, I was always running and jumping as well. Like you said, like there's so many little things to just be mad about or confused about that it's hard to just pick a topic and stay on it.
I know. That's why I'm trying to stay on the movement and the camera to start.
Yeah. And you can also move the camera. That's nice.
But you can only move it to look around. You can't like turn it.
Yeah. So when you're heading south on the map, you're just always running at the camera and you never know what's coming up or what's in front of you.
And that really becomes a problem specifically because there's water surrounding everywhere. So you can die from being in the water too long. That happened to me. And you'll just be running and then you'll hit a cliff. We didn't talk about this, so I'll just say it real quick and then we'll get into it more. But the way that you run is like Sonic almost, where you have momentum. So like you start slow and then you speed up. So let's say you're running, you see a cliff, you try and stop, you still go flying off.
Yep.
And once you're in the water, you move so slow. And if you don't get out quick, you will just die.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of nice too because your guy can pretty much run on a 90-degree angle up a hill.
Oh yeah.
So
straight up a mountain.
You can get out of it. If you go to the outside edges in the water, it's so deep because it's quite literally the ocean. Yeah, if you don't get out fast enough, you're dead.
You can kind of like jump up and like get air for a second, but that's really the only way to survive.
Yeah. And there's swimming, kinda.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that a little bit. I guess we could just jump into that. But so you get these things, these tattoos. Did you find any of them?
Yeah. I think it's like if you head immediate south, there's those ruins or whatever, or the monolith things.
That's the only one that I found. I found one.
Wait, really?
Yeah, apparently there's a bunch of them. I only found one of them.
And in my playthrough, whenever I went immediate south, all of them were just together in a nice little group. So I got to choose which one I wanted.
Well, let's just say I found the first one and then left and didn't ever go back or find it again.
Oh, okay. That might explain a lot. Which color did you go with?
I don't even know now. I just picked the one that was there because I thought that was the only one I could get right now.
Oh.
I think it like upped my like arms or something.
Your arms.
Like my strength, whatever, like power, something, whatever. I don't fucking know. I know there's a swimming one, so that's interesting, and that lets you stay in water.
Yeah. Do you want me to go through all the colors?
I do.
So there's purple, which allows you to swim underwater, and apparently we'll get into why that's important later. There's blue, which increases your breeding, which is hilarious. Orange increases your intelligence. That's the one I went with. I don't really know what intelligence does in this game, but I went with that. Yellow allows you to do a tornado jump whenever you're in the air. I guess that helps you kill things.
Maybe the birds.
And then red increases your leg strength. So those are the 5.
I don't remember because I got it and then never thought about it again, but I'm pretty sure I got the intelligence one.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't, unless it's the swimming one or the tornado jump one, you would never understand what you're changing about your character.
I also never felt like the stats mattered.
No. Like so in order to increase your stats, there's a bunch of sugar cookies or whatnot on the ground.
Just random shit you can eat.
Yeah, and apparently that's what boosts your guy, right?
So no matter what you eat, it upgrades something and it flashes a part of your body that it's upgrading.
Right. And then there's also the chart that you can go into to see how much your guy has progressed in each area.
When I first started, I tried to like figure out, okay, if I eat this and let's say a part of my body flashes red, does that mean that it's upgrading because red is at the higher end? And then if I eat something and it flashes blue, does that mean it went down?
Yeah, I was very confused by the different colors as well. Like nothing seemed consistent.
I don't know if it matters at all, but like I was eating shit all the time and nothing ever changed as far as I could tell. But
yeah, it's just you find something, and if you go into a different biome, there's a new shape, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna eat that thing now and just see what it does. But my legs were maxed out, and I never felt faster. My jump was maxed out almost, and I never felt like I was jumping higher. So I don't know what it was doing.
Yeah, I really don't know. And actually, whenever I was exploring at the end, I wanted to see like how long can you go if you just don't eat?
Oh, okay.
It's a good like 20 minutes. I was running around and I didn't eat. And then I just randomly died. But
Oh, you can randomly die from starving?
yeah, so what happens is all of a sudden you can't run anymore.
Oh.
And I figured that's what was doing it because I hadn't eaten intentionally. So I tried to eat a few things that were around me because I couldn't walk very far and I was like in a mountain. So there was just like 2 things near me. So I ate a couple things and it didn't do anything seemingly. And then I just died. But I had so many lives at that point. Like there was literally maybe 10 people in my camp or something.
I was very shocked by that. The first time I died was because I was trying to fight a pig with the first level stick and it destroyed me. And then you go back and it's like, oh, okay, that character is gone now forever. Choose your next character. And I was shocked at how many people were there because you don't get that visual representation in your camp when you're at your camp.
Well, did you get the cutscene where they're all like really happy?
And dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I think that just means that you've upgraded more people in your place, maybe.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I got that dance sequence. I'm like, I did something right or I did something wrong, and I don't know which one it is or why it's happening.
I'm not going to pretend like I understand it, but after that, I felt like I had more people there for sure.
Ah, okay. And like you said, that's your lives. So if you're careless and you keep dying to things, you're just going through your tribe. So at some point, you're going to run out of people, and unless they can reproduce faster. Does bringing meat back give you more people?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what levels up your culture is bringing meat back.
Okay.
I think anyway. I mean, that's what seemed like it was doing stuff.
Yeah. That's anytime I did that, it just felt like that's when more huts started showing up and more people started being there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which I guess we should get into the meat thing. We talked about there's a bunch of animals all over the island, and you just have to kill them in order to get their meat. Whenever you get their meat, you can either choose to bring it back to the village or you can eat it yourself.
I think if you eat it yourself, you get a pretty good stat boost to everything.
Yeah. And I did that sometimes when like there's 5 different creatures around. I would take out 4 of them, eat all of those, and then the last one, take it back to the village.
Yeah. Also, if you're just exploring, you don't want to go back to your village because if you take one to your village, you're transported back there. So let's say you're pretty deep into somewhere on the map and you're like, I don't really want to go back right now. Then maybe you'll just eat it.
Yep. And that screws you when you're exploring too, because whenever I was in the desert, I found like a Tyrannosaurus head, I believe.
Really?
And I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. And I wanted to explore more, but then I killed a lizard thing and I had to get that meat back. So it transported me back and I've never found the Tyrannosaurus head again.
Yeah. I also found some caves. Did you find any of those?
I found one. Where was the ones you found?
I found one in like a mountain and then one in the desert.
Okay. I found the mountain one, which was really cool. I would say like, ooh, this is a nice little addition.
I thought it was cool, but there's nothing in them.
So what happened was I was going through and my guy just spontaneously combusted and died out of nowhere. And I had to start back at the village and I didn't understand why.
Oh, yeah. I went to both those caves. I wandered in there for a second and then never thought about it again because there was just nothing in there.
Now, how far deep did you go? Because they go for a long time.
The ones that I found were pretty small. I just went to the end and then went like left.
Oh, okay. Well, so there are times like in the mountain cave where you think you're at the end, but you can run at the camera and continue down and go farther in.
Maybe I was at the same one as you and I just didn't notice that, but I thought I made it to the end. Regardless, there's still nothing in there for you, right? Like there was nothing cool in there.
No, there's just different enemies, which again, you just keep eating the meat because I don't want to leave the caves yet. But we're talking about the camera and how bad that is, and the caves, even worse. Like the camera doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing or where it's supposed to be. So I had times when the camera was like off to the far right and my character was off to the far left and the camera's just like, yeah, we're good. And no, we're not.
It reminded me a lot of like medieval when you're inside of buildings.
Yes.
Where the camera just gets like stuck on a wall and you just can't do anything about it.
That and Tomb Raider was my first thought too.
Yeah. I mean, so the gameplay loop is literally just explore until you find an animal, kill it, go back, do it again. And that slowly upgrades. And I guess you're just supposed to eventually find the mammoth and build up your tower. But I don't understand. Like, this is not fun at all.
Yeah. I was torn because there are parts to it I can see where the interest is and I can see where they were going with it. The exploring thing I love in games. So this whole game is literally about exploring, and which is nice. The problem is like when you're building a game where your whole objective is to find mammoths and collect the bones, if it's that hard to find the mammoths, the objective of the game is really, really difficult to even accomplish because you can't even find the creature you need.
I just think this game should have some sort of map, even if like it's a shitty handwritten map that your person makes as you go.
That'd be cool. Like a cave painting type thing.
Exactly. And they already kind of do that. Like in the menu, there's the one section where it shows you every animal you've killed. And it's like cave paintings.
Yeah. So they kind of lean into the caveman thing, but not fully.
Like if you had just a shitty hand-drawn map that was like, oh, mountains here, desert. You know what I mean? Like just here's where the water is. Like that's literally all. That would be so helpful. And it would make it so much easier to kind of figure out where you're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely, I didn't even think about like, because I thought, oh, we need a map. Your way of explaining that is very creative, very unique, and would have tied in perfectly with the whole theme.
Honestly, I think that's a way to pad the game because you have to keep going to these same places over and over again. Like you'd have to learn the map.
Yeah.
Completely. I knew where some places were. Like I knew how to get to the desert. I knew how to get to where like the hippos were. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I knew a little bit, but once I got out of that little circle, I would just pick a direction and just start running.
Yep. And just try to figure out where you're going. And I mean, it just leans in heavily on the exploration.
It's just so not friendly. And like, I feel like people probably think of this as like an artsy game for the time. Like I can see that kind of perspective, but I just don't think it does anything good enough to justify what it's trying to do.
That's a very well put way of saying that. Yeah.
Because like, okay, we didn't even get into the combat, which is also a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, you needed to survive and you needed to grow, and it's the biggest pain in the ass.
I would honestly like say again, this is a worse version of the medieval combat where you're just flailing around and hoping that you get enough hits before they hit you and you die.
Yeah, yeah. And what's nice is, I mean, you can throw objects at them, but it's so hard to know how far away they are and how far they need to be in order to hit them.
I tried to throw rocks a few times and I missed, so I just stopped doing it.
Yeah, rocks, and you can pick up trees as well. I don't know if you did that.
I didn't know you could do that. I didn't even try.
Yep. For some reason, I was like, oh, maybe I can craft a weapon. I don't know why I expected this game to have that, but I thought maybe. And I walked up to a tree, hit triangle, and it just fucking lifted up the entire tree over its head. And you can use that as a weapon to throw.
I mean, that's cool. It's just, it's so imprecise that it's so hard to do anything other than just, I would just stand in front of an animal and just hit them over and over again. And most of the time you can hit them right before they hit you and like push them back a little bit. So that's the strategy.
Mm-hmm. Once I got the stick, I started just straight on melee combat. And I kept running to the desert too, because with the lizards, you could hit them, then they would chase you. So you just run away until they forgot about you. And then you run up, hit them again. Keep doing that for like 4 hits, and then you're good. And they die.
So I do want to ask, what is the health system in this game? Because I don't think that's what the fires are on the top.
I was hoping you were going to ask this.
Let me say what I think it is before you tell me what it is.
Which one are we guessing here? The health or the fire?
So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think there's any way to tell your health. And I think the fires are how long your person has to live.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Okay.
I only just learned what the fire was right before we started recording because I had to look it up. I had to know what was going on with that fire.
So the way that I kind of figured, I mean, I never knew that for sure. This is just a guess. So the first characters that you got had a lot of fire, but then some of the later ones, after I died, we only have like 2 or 3.
Yes.
So in my headcanon, that meant they were younger. So that's why they had less time. No, that's wrong. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I just said that. But yeah, I don't know. Some of the newer characters just had less health, and I thought just that was why. But my justification's all wrong. So just tell me what's going on here.
No, yeah, I mean, you're very, very close. So actually, the younger people, whenever you choose them, if they're young enough, you see 0 fire. Like there's nothing there because they're not old enough to have the fire on them. Which actually, the very first person I chose didn't have fire. So I'm running around having fun. And then all of a sudden this pops up and I'm like, am I going to die? I don't know what this symbol means.
Oh, I had it opposite. Yeah, you're right. So the more fires you have, the older you are.
No. The more fires you have, the younger you are. But if you have like literally nothing on the screen when you first start, you're the youngest. Like you're like a teenager. Then when the fire comes up and it's full, that's like you're now starting the adult life. And the more fire that goes away, the older you're getting.
Okay. That makes sense. in this stupid game.
So I think whenever I was in the cave and I spontaneously combusted and died, I had one flame left. So I think I just was too old and I just died in the cave.
Spontaneous combustion due to old age.
Yeah. That's the only thing that can make sense to me. I didn't get hit by anything, so I don't know what was it. But the health system, there is nothing. It's just arbitrary. A certain amount of hits. We don't know how many hits that is, but you do die and you never know when you're close to death.
I did have a point where those little ghosts were over top of me after I took a few hits from an animal, and that was indicating that I was going to die. But I don't think there's any way to get health back. Like, even if you eat stuff, I don't think you ever get it back.
Oh, so it's permanent. Because I've never seen the ghost above you.
I apologize for bringing that up because I don't remember when it happened in my footage, so you're going to have to find that. But
well, I mean, if people are watching this and they don't see ghosts, that means I gave up and I'm not putting it in.
But yeah, that only happened to me that one time. So I don't know if maybe that was I was about to die from old age or it's just something.
It does happen with old age. I do know that. Where like they'll show up and wait for you to eventually die, which is kind of like depressing in a way.
Yeah, and also I don't know why the ghosts are even there. It's like a weird thing that happens. Like it's whenever you're picking your character, they're there as well. Like it's a weird vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like this game is like trying to be artsy and creative for the sake of being artsy and creative.
Yeah, I think it was more so just
like it's just an experiment.
Yeah, here's just a game where because I looked into it, apparently this company did the same thing but with a water-based game. And people love that one apparently. And I would say it's kind of like a Subnautica in a sense where you're just underwater exploring stuff. So they're like, hey, let's now put the people on land. And yeah.
Yeah. So did you look up the end of this game?
I did not know. Did you?
So what happens is you build the tower to the sun. You get there, you look at the sun, and the game ends.
That's it?
That's it.
You don't even get anything out of it?
Nope. And you need to kill a lot of mammoths too.
Yeah, so we didn't really talk about it. Like we briefly talked about it with the meat. You can only bring one item back with you at a time. So I did watch footage. I did see a mammoth in the footage. Maybe I'll even plop it in and put the person for credit to killing the mammoth. When the mammoths die, they drop 2 meats and 2 tusks. So obviously you can take the meat, eat it yourself, and then you can only bring 1 tusk with you, and then that's it. So it's like then once you get back, you got to run back north again, back and find another mammoth because by the time you get there, the item's going to despawn.
I don't know. I don't understand this. It's so convoluted and it's just not really worth your time. Because like we said, this game, I don't think we said this yet. It said online that this game takes about 6 hours to beat.
Yeah.
And I feel that is only if you know exactly what you're doing, know exactly where to go, and only do that. After playing this for 2 hours, I feel like I've not even scratched the surface of where this mammoth is and like upgrading my stuff. Like my thought was I'd probably have to spend another few hours upgrading the culture of my camp so I can get the best weapons. Then just comb over the map to find a mammoth, which would probably take at least another hour.
Yeah, if we both spent a half hour trying to find this mammoth and we couldn't see a glimpse of one, I would get so annoyed of constantly just running around in the snow looking for the stupid mammoth.
I'm thinking this game probably takes closer to 10 hours to beat, honestly, if you're not following any sort of guide or anything.
I feel like that'd be accurate, yeah. Oh, and I don't want to get too far away with this. I completely forgot to answer one of your other questions. So you were saying when you die and you go to another character that they had like 2 or 3 fire. So that is completely reliant on how much meat you bring back to the tribe. So if you bring a lot of meat, whenever you die, your next character will probably have a full ring of fire or maybe like 3/4. If you're not bringing back a lot of meat, then they're going to be very low. So you have shorter time to live.
I do like that. That makes sense. You know, in the context of this, I understand that.
But yeah, I didn't want to forget that point. But yeah, going back to what you're saying, yeah, it's easily 10 hours, if not more. Just the sake of like playing for 2.5 hours. And I didn't even make it to the next weapon. Now you gotta like wait until you've upgraded to spear level 3. Maybe. I mean, you could probably do it at spear level 1, but just so much time of waiting to even get to that point.
It's just like literally you do the same tasks over and over again. Like nothing really changes, right? I feel like this game is just killing animals. That's it. That's really all you have to do. So like you pick an animal that you want to kill, because I don't think the meat has different values depending on what animal you kill.
No.
So, like, there's a monkey that spawns near the camp. So, what I probably would have done was just keep doing that over and over and over until I was upgraded enough to get the good weapons. And then after that, I would just go find a mammoth, and then that would be that. But I don't know, dude. Like, this game is just not fun. Like, I don't like it at all. I can see what they're going for, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, it's just so not fun that after playing for a half an hour, I would have stopped.
I agree with that. I was about 15 minutes in, and I'm like, I feel like I've been playing for an hour already. I'm like already done with this, but I just had to push through and had to keep going. The biggest annoyance is you're running. You're like, oh, I'm going to go somewhere. Your guy just falls flat on his face and starts sleeping. And you never have an indicator of when this is going to happen.
I don't know how we made it this far without bringing this up, but it is obnoxious. And especially when you're on a mountain, when you fall asleep, you'll start sliding and you can just slide into the water.
Yeah. Luckily, when you hit the water, he immediately wakes up. That's kind of nice.
You can also just slam a button to wake up. So,
yes. But I read if you do that repeatedly, they'll fall asleep faster. You can only stay awake for a short amount of time. If you keep doing it after that, they die because of sleep deprivation.
I did notice that they kept falling asleep. So at a certain point, I'm like, I'm just going to let it happen. You know, nice little phone break.
Yeah. I would just look on the internet and wait to stop hearing the snores. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I can start playing again.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a thing that happens, but I don't understand why. Like, if there was an energy meter or something like that, that would be fine. But just it happening at complete random, and like enemies can attack you while you're sleeping.
Yep. So that's the one time where you'd have to smash the button to like get them to wake up as fast as possible to get out of there.
It happened to me multiple times where I was sleeping and then an enemy started hitting me and I'm like, no. And then they hit me so many times that when I went to fight them, I just died.
Yep. I was sleeping at one point and a bird, I was like in a direct path of a bird and it hit me about 7 times before my guy woke up. And I'm like, I don't know how I didn't die on this character, but somehow I'm still alive and I just ran away.
Exactly the same thing happened to me. Yeah.
It's really frustrating. And you saying, oh, if we had a meter, I think that solves so much with this game. Even if you had 2 different colored bars, if you had like a blue bar and a red bar and they don't tell you what that is, fine. Well, that's okay. Because whenever the blue bar finally drops and your guy falls over, okay, I know that's my sleep bar. And then when the red bar is getting low and you eat something and you see it go up a little bit, okay, there's my hunger bar. It doesn't even have to be complex, just like 2 very simple meters. And that would help a lot of these frustrations.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate what the game is going for as far as like no UI at all. Like you're just exploring, you're just there. But with a game like this, based on, you know, managing sleep and food and all this stuff, they have to give you some way to look at it. Even if I could pause it and then look at it, that would be fine. Like just something.
If you go into the select menu and it just had the 2 graphs there, I could give it a little bit of a pass. But yeah, just give me some information to what's going on in the game. Because especially not seeing your characters in your tribe until you die, at least, you have no sense of accomplishment in this game. You're just doing this over and over again, but you're not seeing any progress at all.
It just feels like you're wasting your time. Like it feels like you're not doing anything, even though you are.
Mm-hmm. So when I died to that pig and I went to that screen and saw all the characters, I'm like, oh, okay, things are happening and I just didn't know it. And it gave me a little bit more sense of accomplishment. But if I'd never died, I would have just thought I was playing the game wrong the whole time.
Exactly. No, I feel the exact same way. Another positive, though, is you can save anytime you want, whenever.
I do like that, though it takes forever to save.
It does.
It takes forever to get through your loading screens. It's just, I don't know what this game is loading, but it's apparently a lot.
It's certainly not loading in the map because the draw distance is also a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't really have much more to say about this game. We've gone on not that long, but I feel like we're not talking about anything.
We haven't been talking about anything this entire time. I do want to say there are, I think, 2 different hidden areas in this game.
Okay.
And this is where the swimming tattoo comes into play. So one is like off the north. So you run completely north until you get to the ocean, then just start swimming. And apparently there's penguins and a dinosaur, I think. And there's apparently very rare fruits on there that like boosts your stuff so much. And oh yeah, and we did talk about this. you'll occasionally run into these orange stones. I saw in your gameplay, you just picked one up and threw it.
Yeah.
Apparently, those are called miracle stones, and they kill any enemy in one hit.
Okay, so you should just pick one up and then go find a mammoth.
Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to talk about that. If you're holding any object and your guy decides to fall asleep, he throws it and it breaks whenever it hits the ground, no matter what it is. There was one time I went to pick up a fruit or something, and the instant I pick it up, he just threw it and it fell on his face. Like a split second after picking it up. I'm like, come on, why did you have to go to sleep right now?
It's so dumb, dude.
It is. So then the other one is another island off the south. And again, it's just some animals, then a bunch of fruits and stuff that you can't find anywhere else. So pretty cool that they have that if you were to explore, but I don't know how you would ever think to just go swimming in the ocean until you find this thing.
Yeah, I would be very hesitant even if I had the swimming tattoo, just because like maybe I'm swimming for too long and I just die from hunger.
Exactly, yeah.
One other thing that we didn't bring up, and it has to do with the movement. You know, whenever you're going down a steep hill, you start bouncing. And it's just so annoying, especially when you're falling into water and you want to try and get out really fast. You're just bouncing into it and like you have to wait for that to stop before you get control again.
Yep. So whenever like when you're extremely north and you're trying to come back down that giant ass mountain at the top of the mountain or at the top of the map, it just took forever, which was a good thing of whenever the guy passed out to go to sleep, because then he just went to bed and then he just slid down the mountain and is actually kind of faster than bunny hopping down the entire time.
That's fair. But it mostly was just an inconvenience, I would say.
Yeah. And because especially that hopping thing would sometimes trigger on the smallest of hills. So you just be going down like this little bump and your guy just starts hopping and is like, why? I'm like, it's not that big of a drop.
I know. It's just puzzling. Like, I think that's the best way to put it. So many of the decisions made when making this game are just puzzling decisions that I don't know how a human would make and not just be like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Before we get into the reviews, just like, I feel so strangely about this game. I don't really know like where to put it for my score.
Yeah.
I'm still like I know it's bad. I know it's not good. But like, I didn't have the nightmare scenario when we're playing it of like, I actively hate this. Like, it's not making me angry. It's just not making me feel anything. Like, I feel like I'm just wasting my time, just pissing away my free time, running around on this island doing nothing. But like, I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is that I have about this. Like, I don't actively hate it. I know it's not good. I didn't have fun, but it's not horror. I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
I know exactly what you're feeling because I keep looking, like even before recording, I was looking at the scores, I was looking at our game ranking and like, okay, is it this bad or is it this bad? What number could it be? And I'm like, because I had the same experience. I'm like, is it a good game? No, it's not. Was I miserable? No. But did I have fun? No. So where does that put this game?
I know. I don't understand how to feel about it. And like, I'll just read the reviews and then we'll have this discussion.
We'll try to work this
out. we'll figure it out together. So this got a really crazy range of scores, ranging from 3 to like 8s and 9s.
Wow.
I picked one low, one high, but like, I don't know how you decide which place it goes. Cause like I could see at the time, maybe this is an experimental game, you know, it's an artsy, weird game. So, you want to give it credit for that. But like we just said, it's still not fun to play. So Fun Generation gave it a 3 out of 10. And they said, to make matters worse, the controls and game speed are pretty off. It might be fun to start your own tribe and see it flourish, but definitely not with technology like this. Even die-hard RPG fans put the joypad aside in disgust after a short time.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say about that.
Yeah. Absolute PlayStation gave it a 7.5 out of 10 and said, Art Dink should be applauded for creating a game as fresh and original as this, and Sony should be commended for releasing this game in the States. It's cute, amusing, funny, addictive, and just plain different from anything else on the market today. In the end, this game could best be described as the ultimate Seinfeld episode. It's a funny little story about nothing.
Where was the humor? Out of everything I've played, I don't know where the humor was.
Maybe the weird ugliness of the characters?
Maybe the fact that your guy just randomly falls on his face to sleep.
Yeah, I could see it having that like slapstick kind of humor in a way, but I don't know. I wouldn't call this game funny.
Or the Seinfeld episode. There's like, What that's so I'm baffled by that.
Well, I mean, do you like Seinfeld?
From what I've seen, kinda, but wouldn't put it at like the top of my list.
There's a whole bit on there where they're trying to make a TV show in the show, and the show is about nothing.
Oh, okay.
Literally nothing. And it's a joke that's layered because the show Seinfeld in general is about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that's a reference to. But
Okay.
But yeah, that brings us to our scores. So we got to really figure this one out. I think maybe this could be a collaborative effort here.
I don't think this is going to be you give your number, I give my number.
Yeah, maybe we try something new here, see how it goes, I guess. But I started off with a 2.
You're not far off from me. It's between a 2.5 to a 3. Because my frame of reference was Millennium Soldier.
I'd honestly rather play D than this. Because at least D's taking a shot.
I just don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know. I mean, I think Expendable also sucks. I think Cool Waters 1 also sucks. I don't know. It's so weird because, like, thinking back about D, I honestly think I might have liked it a little more than I said, just because of like the strangeness. I'm not going to change the score or anything like that because it's still a bad video game. It still sucks to play. But like, I kind of look back fondly on a like a seeing a bad movie kind of way, you know?
I can kind of get where you're going with that, but I mean, I'm glad you're not changing your score on that.
Fuck no.
I mean, okay, so we do know this is at the bottom. It's just the matter of where at the bottom does it belong. And my thoughts are, I mean, taking away the design choices and the not poor,
everything.
Yeah, everything's, I guess. But I compare that to, I'm so lost on this because I compare it to, okay, let's start at like Lego Racers, where I would say that game was incredibly boring and really not much to do once you figure out that little trick.
Yeah, I think the controls ruined that game too.
Yes. Now we look at this game and it's like, okay, is there a lot to do? No. Is it hard to find the things you need? Yes. But at the end of the day, is it at least a concise video game? I would say yes.
I see where you're going here, but I don't see any scenario where this isn't the bottom of the list, right?
I don't think so. So if you were giving me like, let's just start here. Okay, this game versus D, I would be taking this game.
I would take D.
Wow.
I just felt like at least D had a vision. It had a concise story that you're following. The story's bad. The gameplay sucks, but it has a vision. Whereas this game just feels like you're meandering around for hours.
Or yeah,
maybe that is the vision.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at it. It's just two different games. So with D,
But that's okay. Actually, this is a point I wanted to bring up because when I was editing Silent Hill, I was listening to Kyle and he's like, you know, Silent Hill or Resident Evil. Resident Evil and Silent Hill are two different games. You can't compare them. But inherently, by making this list and by ranking them, we are comparing them.
That is true.
We have to.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to not, because whatever number we give is going to place it in the list. That's the hard part of the show. They don't have to worry about it because it's not their show. They're just guests. So he can say that. But for us, like, we have to take all this into account because at the end of the day, this is our list of every PlayStation game. So directly compared to D, I would rather play D. I would be fine with giving it the same score if you want.
Actually, that is fair because like I said, I'm comparing this to Millennium Soldier. D, not even in my brain. I'm not even thinking about that. And I say, okay, did I like this more or less than that? I liked it more, but not by much. And I was going to go with like either a 2.5 or 3. I don't think it's on the same level as Millennium Soldier. So I was going to go with a 3 regardless. Well, not regardless. I was going to go with a 3 if just as my score after we got to this point.
Well, that's perfect because I'm going to go with a 2.5.
All right. So you really think it's a 2.5?
No, I don't know. I really don't know what I think about it. That's what's hard. Because it's not fun. Everything is boring. The controls are bad. The camera's bad. The gameplay isn't explained. What you're supposed to do is convoluted and weird. There's no instruction. There's no anything, even in the manual, even in a fucking walkthrough.
I get where you're coming from.
Those are all the things that make a game good. If every single thing about the game isn't bad, like, I don't really know what else to say.
I was hoping we were going to go with, we're going to go 3 each and we're going to do a 3. And then I was going to say this should be above Millennium Soldier. That's just my view.
I'm thinking.
Because with me, I mean, you didn't have the same experience. For Millennium Soldier with me, I said that was almost unplayable. Like, it was pretty much on the line of not being a playable game. This is a very playable game. It's not straightforward. And there's so many bad mechanics, but you can tell what they wanted to do with it. They just didn't execute any of it well. So that's the problem.
Well, how about this? I would rather play D than this game, but I'd rather play this game than Cool Borders 1 or Millennium Soldier Expendable. That's what's insane to me. Like, it's not consistent with my scores, but like thinking back about it, that's where my memories are.
Granted, if we didn't have the guest scores, this would have been tied with Millennium Soldier, and we would have put it above Millennium Soldier.
It would also be tied with D.
No, that's what I mean. D. If we didn't have the guest scores, D would be above Millennium Soldier right now.
That's true. Fuck them.
Which I agree with you on. Like, between those two, I would put D above Millennium Soldier. So we're on the same page with that. It's just where it is on the ranking now. I get where you're coming from.
Would you put it above Cool Borders 1?
I want to say yes. I probably would.
All right. So let's go with a 3.5 and put it at number 47.
So you want to put it above Cool Borders?
I do.
Okay.
I think that's safe. I think that we won't be mad about that later.
You said you would play it above Cool Borders. Like, you would play this over Cool Borders 1.
Yes. I think I would.
I didn't think we would have such a big problem with the bottom of the list.
I almost feel like, I don't know. I think D should be above Expendable and Cool Borders 1. Honestly. I think Expendable should be the bottom of the list. I'm not saying we should change it right now. I'm just saying that's how I feel looking at it.
I think it should be a conversation we have. Because I can agree with you on that, but we can have that discussion off air and then come back to that later.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Well, then I'm fine with this. We've been talking about the score for about 10 minutes now, so I think we can kind of just settle with this. I think we're good.
All right. So yeah, Till the Sun will be at 47, followed by Cool Borders 1, finished up with Millennium Soldier at 49. Yeah, I didn't expect this to be such a weird way to end the show. I thought we were gonna it'd be just set in stone, but yeah.
I think we're going to run into a lot more stuff like this as we play more games, just because there's a lot of games that are just bizarre on the PlayStation, which is why I love it so much. But like I said, we're creating the list, so we have to keep all these things in mind all the time. Like, it's not, as much as I would like it to be, it's not just give a score, put it where it goes, and forget about it. Because then the score is going to be all out of whack. I mean, not the score, the ranking is going to be all out of whack.
Yeah, but and that's where I kind of agree with Kyle in a sense where, like, you can't compare them. And I get your sense of it too. Like, I can see both sides. Like, if we were to just look at our scoring 1 through 10, give it a number, and then wherever it falls into the list is where it falls. That's where you're ranking it based on just the game itself. And it's not until you see the number where then you're comparing it to the other games if you need to. But we kind of do a thing where we're focusing on the individual number, but we're also looking at the main list at the same time to also judge that individual number.
It's so weird. It's like part of me thinks we should be doing what you and Kyle are saying, where, like, we're not looking at this list at all. And we're just giving the number that comes to our mind when we play the game. But if we're doing that, then, like, what is the point of the list at all?
The main list?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if we're just giving it a score, not looking at the list at all, not worrying about what else is there, then why does the list exist, right? Because then we're not curating it.
True. But at the same time, like, that's where the games just fall. Like, it's...
Let's say you go to IGN's list of the top 100 games of all time. They're obviously not ordered by the scores, right? They're ordered by, like, however those people decided what game is the best. Being in this weird middle ground, it's just strange.
Yeah, going into these episodes, I always give my ranking just based on the individual score. I never look at what the ranking list is. And I started picking up, like, that's what you do. You look at the ranking list because in other episodes, you've mentioned it. Yeah, I just look at the main, like, scores 1 through 10. This is what they mean. This is where I think this game should be on an individual skill.
So as I play, I write down the score that I'm feeling, and then I kind of reference the list as to where I think it would fit somewhere.
Yeah.
I've never changed a score to put it somewhere in the list. I have done, like, we've talked about this before, like 6.5, 6. That kind of range is like the middle of the road games where, like, maybe it's the first in a series, maybe it's, a new idea, whatever. Do I feel like the game fits in there? Or do I feel like it's above that and it's like a really good first game? Or do I feel like it's a 5 and it's like, go back to the drawing board? Like, it's a mix of both, but I'm never prioritizing one over the other. It's always both.
Right. I get that.
I don't know. People might take issue with it. It doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, it's like, it's our list. Like, I think it's important to curate the list as we go as well. I mean, otherwise we'd have to go back through at the end and order it, which would be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But we've gone on long enough. So that is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like and subscribe, as well as give us a rating on podcast services. We will see you next week.